Good morning. Welcome to Viking Preparedness. I am PJ. I had to come out here to cool down. If you watched yesterday's video, you know what's going on there. If you know, you know. I'm angry. I'm upset. I thought about things deeply. Reference the church storming that took place in Minneapolis yesterday. Before I get to that, it's cold. I'm just wearing my sweatpants and then I put some top stuff on to come out here. It's doing something rare in the Ozarks in my decades of experience here. It went below freezing early last night and it's not going above freezing until tomorrow. Ooh, that's called winter, PJ. Yeah, in the Ozarks, it typically goes above freezing every day. And so living off grid like we do with the systems that we have, we don't have running water today. That's okay. We knew it was going to happen, and we didn't have running water in our house for years. So we're okay. We know how to deal with it. But it's good. Come down here and cool down a little bit. What are you doing, dog? So, if you don't know, I think it was a Southern Baptist church. It looked like a fairly good size, was having church services yesterday in Minneapolis. And a group of satanic communists led by one Don Lemon. Now, gang, I haven't had a TV forever. All I know about Don Lemon is he's a black guy, former CNN something or other, who was fired, maybe? That's what I think I know about Don Lemon. Clearly, he's on the left. It doesn't matter. I don't want to know more about him. It's just they had to put a face on it, right? That's Americans. We're so shallow. It's like, oh, we got to give him a face to hate. Not saying I don't. I'm just saying that, they got to make it personal. They just can't have a faceless mob. But a mob invaded a church in the middle of services. Let me set this down to get cold while I talk. And I thought the reaction of the church was awful. Awful. And that got me thinking on, what's up, my puppy? That got me thinking on some deeper things. Can I do that? There he is. That I want to talk about. Now, if you are a church-going person, synagogue-going person, this video will interest you. But even if you're not, I would like you to take the concept of what happened and apply it to your own mentally unique circumstances and think about things. So here's people worshiping, praying, I don't know, listening to the pastor. The pastor was up front, a younger guy, had his little Madonna mic on. And they just come in, rah, 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 and then they're saying that woman who got shot in the face, boom, boom. Her name, I don't remember her name. And again, I don't care, but they're shouting it and they're talking about ice this and ice that in a house of God. Supposedly, they thought one of the pastors was an ice guy. Okay, whatever. And the people just sat there looking afraid. And then they started getting up as little families and trying to leave. And then evidently, I didn't see this video, but evidently the protester mob were following people out, like a mother with children, no husband or whatever, go into her car, harassing her the whole way. And the pastor was shocked for a while up in the pulpit. And then he tried to yell things, but he never even, from what I saw, could have, but the video I saw, he didn't even come down off the stage. He's just yelling at people, telling them to get out of the house of God or something like that. For you Christians out there, of whatever denomination. We got a lot of guff when we had the Vice video. This video is about to get PG-13. So if you have children, you might not want them to listen. I wouldn't want my grandkids hearing my language. But we did a Vice video, and they interviewed Bear from Bear Independent on the interwebs, and I'm pretty sure he wasn't a pastor yet. He was just TJ, although he's been pastoring for a while. Anyway, he said, bottom line, Jesus Christ wasn't a pussy. And people found that offensive. He's not wrong. Yeshua, Jesus, was not a wuss. He was a dude. He was a man. He had rough hands. He flipped tables and whipped people with a whip. It was a noodle, PJ. He just told them, please stop doing what you're doing and go away. And so they did, right? No. Christian men in America, by and large, I am painting with a very broad brush. If it doesn't apply to you, awesome. I've been to a lot of churches. I've met a lot of Christians, self-proclaimed Christians. Christian men, by and large, are freaking weak. They're weak. They're soft-spoken. Many of them have soft hands. All the pastors do. I know, not all. Not our pastor. He's a farrier. Okay, whatever. Many are weak. They're soft. They don't want to cause a commotion. They don't want to. So of course I had my knee-jerk reaction when I saw the video, and I'm like, that would just not happen in our congregations. And it wouldn't. I can say without bravado, that would not happen in any of our congregations. 100% of our men are armed all the time. And yes, even at church. Why wouldn't you be? And probably 80% of our women are armed. And not only are they armed, we train. We train as individuals, we train as groups, we practice scenarios, we do all kinds of stuff. We're not your normal church. That wouldn't go. And so, I was like, that would never happen in our place. But then I got to thinking about it. What would, and I was putting individuals, I'm putting families in seats and pews in my mind, and either me or Pastor TJ, Pastor Bear is up there, I like Pastor Morris, is up there preaching, and this happens. All these people come in, rah, rah, rah. First of all, I don't believe they'd get 5 feet down. All right, Doug, that's enough. I don't believe they'd get 5 feet down the aisle before brothers, men, would stand up and say, stop. Now, you're not going around me, and you're not going to push through me, because this is the beginning of a big escalation chain that could end up with you on the floor with holes in you that we also know how to patch. Stop. And then it would be pushing them back outside. It just wouldn't happen. I was watching one of the videos of one of the protesters coming in filming. They came in from the back, and they're walking down like a side aisle on the church, pretty big church. They had a middle aisle and 2 side aisles, and then they had a cross aisle. And they're walking down between the wall and the pews, walking down saying all their nonsense. And all these Christians are sitting there in their chair. They're just looking at the backs of heads. They're making a commotion. They're yelling. And these people are just like, don't look at me, don't talk to me, don't yell at me. I don't know what they were thinking, but that's what their body language was. If these people were Muslim terrorists that decided this is the day we're slaughtering a church for Allah, they'd have just been capping people in the back of the head. What are you doing? There's people invading your church, and you just sit there and face the front like an obedient little mouse? Men, stand up, face the threat, move between the threat and your family. I don't get men today. So-called. I have a good pastor friend locally. I'm going to send him some of these videos. I'm sure he's got thoughts on it. And then I'm going to try and have a real conversation with him. Like, what would you really do? Let me tell you, when I became a pastor, I didn't go to seminary, and they don't teach what I'm about to talk about in seminary anyway. But I was preaching in a church that was built in the 1800s. And so, your typical church with the steeple and the aisle down the middle, the two double doors, and the aisle comes down. And as from my perspective, sets of pews, there were no side aisles, just the center aisle. And I went through scenarios because I'm me. I'm an INTJ. I what if the heck out of stuff. What if somebody walks in to the church in the middle of services and is like, demonic, possessed, whatever. There's varying stages of that. Hey, I just got to say, or, can you spare a dime or whatever. What is my reaction going to be? I did a study on church shootings. If you break down church shootings that happen in church, it's typically one of two things. Either it's somebody going to shoot their former loved one because they know they're at church, and so they shoot a lot of times it's a man shooting his ex-wife. Unfortunately, in many Christian circles, who's now sleeping with the worship director, he's going to shoot her, and he shoots anybody that gets in his way, coming or going. So that happens. And the other one is, first person other people shoot is the pastor. The representation of, pastors are just the same as everybody else, but that's what they see in their mind. And so I set up a range at my house. I paced off from my pulpit to the front door, and I had a range that far, and I practiced That church was not the same as my current church. But my current church, you just wouldn't get there. I've seen y'all talk before, because I tell you, if you're going to form a mag, you ought to find the people who value what you value. And to me, I know I'm projecting on y'all. To me, that's my faith. I value my faith. And so I want to be around people who value my faith. And so I tell y'all, look in church. And I get the comment from some people, oh, my church is clueless. My church doesn't get it. My church is weak. Then why do you go there? Start your own Bible study at home. Invite people, worthy people, people who can become worthy, whatever. The left is not afraid to act. The right is. You're worried about offending people and hurting feelings. Deaths are coming. Murders are coming of good Christian people. They're coming. And the average Christian man out there is woefully unprepared. How many men, you don't have to answer, it's a rhetorical question. How many of you are comfortable with violence? Hey, you need to stop right there. I said back up. Pow, pow. Take them away. How many of you are comfortable with going hands-on with somebody? I'm old with a bad knee, and I'll go hands-on in a second. I'm not saying I'm going to win, but I got enough brothers, I probably am. But men, you got to get back in touch with being men. I've got an event coming up where I'm going to speak. This will probably figure into it. Jesus Christ wasn't a pussy, and you shouldn't be either. Sometimes a man's got to fight. Wasn't that a country song? Sometimes you got to fight when you're a man. Do you know how? Are you prepared? All right, back to instead of me ranting. You should have a church plan for something like that. You should have a church plan for the lone deranged person coming in. You should have a church plan for an organized group coming in. You should have a church plan for a hit team coming in. Most of you won't ever get that far, but you should. Where's everybody going? What's everybody doing? Who's doing what? Who's calling the authorities? Who's rendering first aid after the fact? Because somebody's going to be bleeding. You should have a plan for that. And if you don't, you're in the wrong. You are putting yourself in a bad position. Where are the Christians? In church on Sundays. Let's go get some. Politics. What's this administration going to do? They haven't done squat. We're investigating it. I saw something today that said, here's the way it goes. When you don't want to do anything, tell people you're investigating. When they come, that buys you about a week. When they come back and say, what's the state of the investigation? What's going to happen? What are you going to do with these people? That's when you say, we can't discuss ongoing investigations. Just rinse and repeat. This administration, gang, you better get ready. This is a communist satanic takeover attempt. It's going to get worse. They're going to be emboldened. It's going to get worse. You're not fighting against people like yourself. And believe me, you are fighting. You just don't realize it yet. The communists are trying to take over. They always go for the churches. You know where churches are pretty safe? Russia. Oh, yeah, go figure. Y'all need to wrap your head around that things are rapidly changing, and eventually some chickens are going to come home to roost at your place, wherever your place is, your house, your work, your place of worship, and you should have hardcore plans, not your little fantasy about what you're going to do. I mean, with those people in Minneapolis, let's say the parishioners are like my church and they're all armed, are they all going to stand up and just start shooting? No, that's not going to end well. It's going to end with all y'all in jail. Escalation of force. You got to have it. You got to have a plan for it. You should have a personal plan for escalation of force. And when you start on that path of escalating the force, hey, you want to hold up? Stop right there. No, come on outside and talk to me. When you start right there, you've got to have a plan in your head to go all the way to tunk. You've got to be willing to go there. If you're not, if you've got a full stop in your head, that's where they're going immediately and you're going to lose. Women, most of you are older. You're either married or you're not. You got the man you got. Support him and encourage him to be more manly, to quit being a wuss. I told somebody today, read your Bible, do push-ups, do burpees, ruck. Yeah, it's time to get manly, men. There's a fight. I was going to say coming. It's already here. Are you ready for it? All right, I am fascinated in your comments. I'll see you out there.